And do you think that rambling on the internet will change anything? People seek the truth, no matter where they find it.
Hey guys, it's Sean Y. Today I want to address something that I've kind of wanted to talk about before that I really have, but it has to do with ego and actually tying that into atheism in sports. This don't just apply to sports. We can take it even further and go into idols and looking up to whether it be musicians, celebrities, whatever. I want to talk about that and how it's all tied into how society is literally brainwashed into looking at that's how you measure your self-worth. So let's get into it. Now, on a personal note, everything I'm about to talk about, I've been there, done that. Growing up, I was big into sports. By high school, I was always one that stayed in shape. I wasn't big into school, and I never really, I guess, fell into the whole. I never felt right about being in school. Now looking, I see why. I was like being brainwashed basically, and kind of glad I didn't pay attention to a lot of it. But I never got into, because the school I went to was a pretty big school. You get into that area when it comes to sports. There's a lot of politics. Don't have the right name, don't have the money, you don't make the team type deal. But up to that point, I played soccer, baseball, was always constantly in sports. And that's when I took up. I ran 1 year of cross country my freshman year. My sinuses aren't that good. I got constant issues with them. I don't have allergies, they say. I'm not going to talk about chemtrails or nothing else, but there's probably plenty other reasons why my sinuses are screwed up. But I took up martial arts, started doing taekwondo, did that for years. And, I always liked working out, and I still do this day. I never quit. So thank God for that. And now I'm 35 years old now. So what am I getting at is I've been into the sports. I've been into the music. I loved Offspring growing up. I got into punk rock, heavy metal, and without getting too much into it, just like any teenager has, you go through, I guess, emotional things, man. Just could say I was angry a lot, and it didn't help that I did go through a lot of bullying in school, but I dang near was in a fight all the time in school because I didn't take no crap. I was kind of what they called a dirty back then. I was into alternative music like Nirvana and all of that. So I had long hair. I looked kind of like a druggie. I did, but little to know that they know that I kept in shape. Always wear baggy clothes and like the skaters back then did, not the tight pants. We're not going to get into that. But the thing was, music was kind of an escape for me as a teenager, as it is to a lot of teenagers today. I can relate to that. But, as I grew older, I never not believed in God, but the more I became, just recently in the last few years, I've gotten closer to God, got get more into the Word, know the Word more, have more comfort in knowing I am truly saved. And it really has taken a lot of that anger out of me. And I really don't, I'm not going to lie, I still listen to some like heavy metal bands, but I don't listen to stuff I used to, especially if it was like flat out. If it's flat out like blasphemy, I've thrown so many CDs away. I still like some hard rock. I still like all types of music. I'm not just gonna only listen to Christian music. I like music, but I'm not gonna listen to something that's just straight out blasphemy. So I got my limitations, and the Holy Spirit has done that to me. So where am I going with this? I've been just not too long ago. I'm 35, and when I was 29, I decided I wanted to get back into martial arts, and I wanted to do. I never really done wrestling, and when I was like a little kid, that didn't count. So I done the taekwondo and tried a couple other things. I wanted to do something more realistic, ground based. Not because I wanted to go be able to kick somebody's ass. It was more because I wanted to stay in shape, and I just love martial arts. I love learning the techniques, and if I ever did have to defend myself, it's nice to know. So I've always been competitive too. In a competitive type of way, not in a macho, I want to rip your head off kind of way. I don't have that hostility, but that's where I'm going with this. Being in jiu-jitsu and seeing the people that's in there, it is kind of sad to see people's ego has taken over. It's all about them wanting to literally. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be good, wanting to be the best, but taking it to that level, you just want to rip somebody's head off for whatever reason, whether you got anger issues or whatever. I never felt that towards somebody else, but that's why I kind of never was good at tournaments, I guess. I didn't have that killer instinct where I could go in there not knowing anybody, and they never did anything to me and really want to hurt somebody. I never wanted to do that. When I've been in situations where I've had to defend myself, that's different. You're fighting for something, for a reason. It's not the same as, I just look at it as a game, but if it's not, when you're stepping in the ring with some of these people, they don't have, I don't know, it's almost like they don't have that heart or real soul. And you find out a lot of these people are atheists. And I know because I've worked with some of them and trained with some of them. And a lot of some of the pro MMA fighters came through the schools that I went to. And you find out a lot of these guys are atheists. And this is what drives them. That's all they do is train and fight. That's their motivation. And that's sad. Because that is their self-worth. That's how they're judging their worth. And trying to be the best. Well, what happens when you break? You get old. It happens. Look at some of the best, especially looking at Helio Gracie. The whole reason Gracie's name is big now, basically created the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that we see that got the UFC so big with Royce Gracie. And just coming in, dominating with that style. And then you go back all the way to Bruce Lee, Arnold Schwarzenegger, as far as weightlifters. And I'm not talking about these people individually. I could care less about who these people are, or what they did. But the thing is, I'm looking at, guess what? Arnold Schwarzenegger's old now. Go look at his pictures. He's still big for his age, but also he's a movie star. He's an elitist. He's got the access to a lifestyle that not the normal person can have. He's looking even as good as he does now because that's basically his. He don't have the real jobs like we got. So he has that opportunity and the opportunity to get the best of everything. So yeah, that's, you're not going to see some 60-year-old or however old he is now, probably older than that, not looking like he does. He's still pretty big, but nothing like he used to be. Bruce Lee, dead. Guess what? He's a person. He's a human being. He may not have looked like it or acted like it, and he was a pretty bad dude, but guess what? He's still human. And some people have lost touch with that reality that you are human, you're going to get old, you're going to break down, you're going to die. We're all going to die. And somewhere along the way, people seem to throw that out the door and forget that while we're young and still healthy and still whooping people's butts, So the thing is, the only thing that's going to make you feel whole is the truth, and the truth is God, Jesus Christ. People have made anything God that they feel that fits them, and the only thing that's really going to help you and ease that self-worth is the real God, Jesus Christ. That's where I'm going with this. Once you have that, that's something you cannot lose. That's eternal. Your health, your body, all that, it breaks down. And and it sucks. You know, I'm still pretty good shape. I'm nothing like I was when I was 26. When I was 26, I'm nothing like I was when I was 18. So, you know, it's just a sad truth. And injuries I've had shoulder surgeries, and I've broken my legs, and this is stuff that, you know, I've twisted my neck up real good in jiu-jitsu, and that's things that I still got pain from to this day. And it's just that glory only lasts so long. Just Google best in the world of this or that. Guess what? It's a has-been, or it was soon to be has-been. You get this little glimpse of that 15 minutes of fame, and it's gone. And then what? Most people go suicidal that are atheists, that this is their self-worth. Because once they've lost that, they have no worth. At least that's what they feel. We're all God's creation. But yet, they reject that. They reject that truth. So, that's just, this is a little video I wanted to do. I'm not trying to convince anybody to believe in God. I'm just telling you, you got to find that for yourself. You got to search that out for yourself. Because the truth is, you're only young so long, and to put your apples into, whether it be a sport, whether it be music, whether it be anything, it's all fake. It's all living in the now. And you're going to be really disappointed when something happens. What happens when you can't do that sport or anything? What happens if you get into a wreck, you're paralyzed, or something just keeps you from doing what motivated you? Then what do you have? So that's just this little video I want to put out there, just from experience and what I've seen, and a sad truth. Now, the other flip side to that is the ones that are Christians I've seen them fighting. I've seen a couple of them that I've personally trained with, and they dedicate their fights to God. I'm doing this for God. God don't care if you're beating the hell out of that person. I promise you that. God doesn't sit there and want you to pound on that dude's face. I guarantee it. That's the most ridiculous thing. Is that you're doing it for you, and you're using God as a crutch. It's great if you believe in God. It's great if Jesus Christ is your Savior. But seriously, don't say you're beating the crap out of somebody for God. That's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. The only thing God cares about is if you're living for Him and if you're saved. That's all God cares about. You think God's blessing you to go in that ring and beat somebody up? No. That's worldly. You've convinced yourself that somehow you're doing something for God when you're doing it for yourself. And that's the honest truth. So, this is showing why on a little more one-on-one personal basis. God bless. And hope everything's going good with you. Bye-bye.